Hello everyone, welcome to another Falcons Weekly Webisode. I am your host, Damon Markowitz, and joined by the Falcons President and General Manager, Mr. Bruce Landon. And Bruce, welcome back to the show. We've taken a few weeks off, but here we go again.
Here we go again. I'm sure there's lots to talk about this time of year as there normally is, and I'm sure you got a lot of questions.
Oh yeah, a lot of questions here. I got them on the mobile phone, coming right from Facebook, a little from Twitter as well. Full agendas questions as we wrap up the regular season. But before we get into the agenda, just want to let you know we're coming to you from the Mass Mutual Center inside the Bird Day Room here in downtown Springfield. Thank you to DK's Hockey and Lacrosse, 1 Prior Road, down Enfield, Connecticut, the Enfield Twin Rinks, for making these webisodes possible all season long. Don't forget about the social media streams. Go to falconsahl.com. Check out the official Facebook, official Twitter. You'll see graphics are changing. There's contests on there. The content is even more so than it's ever been before, Bruce. With the help of Sarah Pompey, the help of Mike Mitchell, myself, we've kind of had a stranglehold on all that. And as you've probably seen, content is just about every minute of the day.
All the time. Great updates. Social media is what it's all about. Connecting with our fans and trying to bring in new fans and new followers. And I think we've done a great job on that, certainly with, as you mentioned, with Sarah coming on board and you doing your thing and Mike as well. So it's a big part of, I think we're going to see some big steps as we go forward in that department as well.
Absolutely. So just taking it to a higher level and to see where we were a year ago to where we are now. I think we're about 1 year anniversary on these webisodes as well. But
time flies, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a year. Yeah, it's snap of a finger. So no cakes or anything today. But before we get into the questions from Facebook, and a lot of really good questions, some questions you probably are expecting as we wrap up, but we filmed this here on Thursday. I think it's Thursday. After almost a week after the season ended last weekend. I know you've been busy since then. Kind of just walk us through from the time the season ends Saturday. I know you go through a lot of exit meetings. A lot of news has happened since then. Just how are the last 3-4 days been for you?
Well, actually, it started on Saturday when Chris McFarland was here from Columbus, Assistant General Manager Columbus, and we decided to have player exit meetings with started Saturday afternoon around 2 o'clock, right up to almost game time. And that was with the players who were not playing that night or the players that were injured. As you know, we had a lot of players, I think 34, 35 guys, and we were dressing 20 that night. So we had a chance on Saturday afternoon, Chris and I, to go through exit meetings with each player. And really what, for the fans, want to know what that's all about. It's different for every player based on that player's contract status or whether he's coming back next year, whether he was a free agent we signed this year and didn't know what our plans were yet. So Chris runs most of the meeting. I sit there and add my 2 cents when I think it's necessary. I ask a lot of questions about the players' time in Springfield, our training staff, our strength and conditioning coach, our travel on the road, and things that maybe we can do to improve upon. And it's a great opportunity for the players, Damon, with just Chris and myself, to be very open about everything. And some of them speak more than others do, certainly, but you get to know a little bit more about the player and how he thought his year went, how he thought the team's year went, and some areas maybe he thought there should have been improvements in all areas. So that was Saturday afternoon, and then that started again on Sunday morning, starting at 8:30 in the morning. Actually, it was 8 o'clock for me Sunday morning with Chris McFarland and I going over a lot of things related to the coaching situation in Springfield, and we'd also had some talks on that on Saturday as well. And then went through the player exit interviews again with the other players. That took us right from about 8:30 in the morning, almost up until about 1 o'clock, I guess, in the afternoon when we finished all the players. And then certainly unfortunately, the bad part of the business is Chris had to have a conversation with Rob Riley and told Rob they were going to go in a different direction for the organization. So that sort of was Saturday, Sunday. On the hockey side, and as you know, all the players sort of scattered out of town. They had a little team get-together, I believe, on Sunday night, and most of them were either flying out or driving out Monday, Tuesday. Some guys are still around, certainly, that hang around a little bit longer. As you know, for us in the office, it's the transition sort of from the hockey season into the off-season sales. So we spent a couple of real good days in the office really just sprucing the place up, and I really mean cleaning and just unloading dumpster after dumpster full of things. So Monday, Tuesday, really just clean-up days and start getting into the off-season sales and get ready for our off-site strategy planning session next week. So an awful lot going on at all times. And I've still been back and forth with Chris on some things as it relates to the coaching and the process of hiring a new coach. And also, Chris sent me a quick list of some potential free agents that we'll start looking at and trying to find maybe a player in there that is a good fit, that is an exempt vet for next year. This year we had 2 of them, so that's important as well. So there's always a lot going on, but we're really getting into the business off-season sales mode here very quickly.
You mentioned exempt vet. Just what exactly is that for those?
Well, in our league, you're allowed to have 5 players in your lineup who have played more than 260 NHL, AHL, or European Elite League games, and you're allowed one player who's played between 260 and 320 games. Case in point, this year, both Andrew Jodry and Nick Drzanovich both fit that category of having played between 260 and 320, but both of them have gone over the 320 mark. So Jodry, who is under contract, when he comes back next year, becomes just a vet, not an exempt vet. And Drzanovich is a free agent, certainly. A good player we'd love to have back, but that's between Columbus and his agent.
Absolutely. Damon Markowitz along with Bruce Landon, another weekly webisode presented by DK's Hockey and Lacrosse. 1 Prior Road, down Enfield, Twin Rinks at the Enfield, Connecticut. Appreciate everything DK's Hockey and Lacrosse does for us all season long, making these webisodes possible. And can't forget about the official Facebook, official Twitter. Go to falconsahl.com. You'll see official links to both. And we're going to go right into the Facebook, right. Bruce. A lot of questions here. I've got the mobile phone here. Let's hopefully I can get through this without dropping it or not being able to do something where I mess it up. But first question in from Richard Brennan, right off the Facebook. Were you surprised to see Coach Riley dismissed? And what is your overall evaluation of the team this season? Do you think players like Byers and Drew will be back with the team next year?
Well, first of all, with Rob Riley, it was, and I've spoken to Rob a couple times. It was a very tough decision. Rob is, as you know, Damon, just a quality person. I mean, you can't find a better person than Rob Riley. A good family guy, good experience as a coach, just a good human being, a guy you like to be around. And he's a good coach too. There's no denying he's a good coach, but for a lot of different reasons, sometimes there are things that don't get out in public, and just sort of gut feelings by, I think, Scott Housen more than anybody else in Columbus, and certainly Chris McFarland. They just felt, as they've said it publicly, they thought it was time for a different voice. And you can read into that a lot of different ways. But the bottom line, the decision was made, and letting a coach go, not renewing a coach's contract is never easy, especially when you've had some success. And I say that because if we're measuring our team's success by making the playoffs or not making the playoffs, obviously you can say we did not have a successful season. But people like yourself and others behind the scenes in the hockey world that know what we went through, the adversity we went through, Rob deserves a lot of credit for sort of keeping this team somewhere in the mix while we went through just 11 goaltenders in the organization and 400 man games lost to an injury and all the adversity we had to deal with. We kept the team in the hunt somehow, but so you deserve some credit for that. But it's tough business. So Rob has been offered a job in the organization, and I spoke to him last night, and we had a great talk. And he understands, doesn't accept it, but understands the business, and he's going to take some time to think what he wants to do. As far as players coming back, Dane Byers, Giroux, they're both Group 6 free agents. Can sign wherever they want. It's a little premature in the process to start talking about individual players, and I can tell you this: it was very refreshing in some ways when we did the exit meetings with an Alexander Giroux to apologize to both myself and Chris McFarland, because he said he felt he let the team down by only scoring 28 goals. Now, we know 28 goals in this league is a pretty good number, but by Alex's standards, it was a bad year, and he felt that had he been able to score 40 goals, which is what his goal was, we may have made the playoffs. And so just shows you some of the different ways players approach their own game and how they felt bad about what happened. So, and as far as Byers, we love Dane Byers, great captain, does all the things you like on a player in leadership, chips in goals, plays physical. But again, he's a Group 6, and that's up to his agent, certainly.
Sure, yeah. Free agency, will be something that it's tough right now because we're done, but there's about another 6 weeks of playoffs left. Yeah. So that'll be something as we continue these on. Always a hot topic as we get into the off-season mode here. Next question coming from Seth DeSalt, and we all know Seth. How you doing, Seth, out there? His question about Manny Legace, and does the team want to re-sign him, and does it look like they can re-sign him for next year?
Well, Manny, as we know, I was sort of had a little bit of playing and getting Manny in here when our goaltending just exploded or imploded, whatever the word is, when we didn't have any goaltending. Manny, being a veteran, was available, so I'd recommend to Columbus that we get him in. He can still stop pucks at 30. He was 38 when he came in, turned 39 during the season, but he showed he could still stop pucks. And Manny and I have a very close relationship. He's one of my favorite players that's ever played in Springfield. Of course, I have a sort of an affinity to goaltenders a little bit more than others, I guess, but he came in and he played some great games for us. There's no denying that. And had we not had Manny stepping in and playing some good games, unfortunately for Manny, some of the great games he played, we didn't win because we just weren't scoring goals. We sort of went into an offensive drought in games when he was playing. But he played well, but he came down with some knee injuries, and he's going to go to St. Louis where he had his previous knee surgery. He has to have his knee scoped or another operation on his knee to see what damage is there. But he's got a couple bad knees, and then unfortunately, probably the fans aren't aware of this, he also went down with an eye disease or an eye infection that kept him out of a stretch of games as well. So there's health issues with Manny. He would like to play. He feels he can play at a higher level. He feels he can play for another year or two. But I think it's, again, premature to talk about a Manny Legace in the Springfield Falcons. My gut tells me that we'll probably go in a different direction.
Sure. One thing I want to bring up, and I think you've brought up before, is just how quality of a teammate Manny was. I mean, coming back down here in October, really didn't know how long we were going to have him, but something that I'm sure you've seen firsthand is just the impact he had on all of his teammates, just not goalies.
Well, he's got an infectious personality when you get to know him, and the guys loved him. And the other thing they loved about him, he was really competitive in practice. I mean, guys like goaltenders are competitive in practice, and Manny kept things loose and challenged players and had some fun with the guys and stuff in practice, and the guys really liked him, and we needed another veteran presence here. He was very good with the young goaltenders, with Paul Dayton when he was here, and certainly Mike Clemente when he came in. And Manny has aspirations to be a goalie coach somewhere along the way, and I think, having spent a lot of time with Manny and talking technique and the mental part of the game for goaltenders, I think Manny would be an excellent goaltending coach for some NHL team.